The Democrats are going to have to recognize there's no funding mechanism. The second attack on this, constitutionality of this, is the exchange issue, which I talked about earlier, the states having to put the exchange in place. That is also being seen as unconstitutional, and Rifkin's also been retained by these attorney generals, and I believe it's Virginia that has filed that lawsuit. Okay. So Mr. Rifkin is representing the states on both these issues. I think there's a very good opportunity here. Even if Stevens retires before this case gets to the Supreme Court, which I'm not so sure that's going to happen, but even if he does, I don't think, given the makeup of this court, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for the Justice Department to argue this case and do it effectively. Let me point out two things. One, there was no Justice Department opinion issued on this bill before it was passed. Very unusual. Okay. Two, the Senate Judiciary Committee held no hearings on this bill before it passed. But as L.C. Hastings so famously said, we don't have no rules around here. We're just making it up as we go along. We make it legislation. That's what he said, and that's exactly what they're doing. Okay. So my point is, I think there's a very good chance that this thing is going to be overturned, and you're not hearing that in the media. But you will see that start to come to the forefront as these suits move through the federal courts, which I think is what we're going to see happen as we get further down the road here. Okay, so that's kind of where we are and where I think this thing is going. You know, the other thing that happened, and I'll close with this the other day, in fact it happened yesterday and it's been talked about for some time. I sometimes think Charles Krauthammer's the smartest man in America. That's what I call it. He's been saying for months that we're going to see a VAT tax. And lo and behold, yesterday, out trots Paul Volcker, floats the trial balloon. I'm sure the Obama administration didn't tell him to do this. The trial balloon that, gee whiz, we need to have a VAT tax. Well, we got a European-style healthcare program. We better have a European-style tax program. And that's exactly where this thing is going. Okay, that tax, which is between 15 and 20% in the European countries, represents a river of money, to quote Mr. Krauthammer, to the federal government. At 10%, that tax will yield $1 trillion a year. And if you don't think this is coming, think again. They have known all along that the money wasn't there to pay for this thing, and they've known all along that they had to have another method for paying for this. And lo and behold, out comes Paul Volcker and says, gee whiz, we need a VAT tax. It's only going to be 1%. Yeah. Well, that's where it'll start. Okay, and if you've ever seen the federal government cap a tax, go back and look at what an income tax was when it was first passed. So that's where I think we're going. Okay, and I would close with these words from Thomas Jefferson: government big enough to give you everything you need is a government big enough to take away everything you have. The course of history shows, as government grows, liberty decreases. Thank you.